chose to be ordained to become an Anglican priest. Yes, I mean, if God is the creator of the world, one doesn't expect to find the world full of things stamped, made by God, but equally it would be surprising if there weren't certain hints or nudges in that direction. And for me there are two very important things that suggest there is a divine mind and a divine purpose behind the universe. One is the rational beauty and rational transparency of the world. We can understand the world in a very profound way. I mean, obviously we have to understand things enough to get by in everyday life. We have to be able to figure out you shouldn't walk off the top of a high cliff. But that Isaac Newton can figure out the same force that makes the cliff dangerous also is the one that holds the moon around the Earth and the Earth around the Sun, and discover universal gravity and understand the workings of the solar system. And then 200 years later Einstein generalizes that and produces a theory of the whole vast universe. That's a degree of understanding that is very far beyond anything we need for everyday survival, or indeed as a sort of spin-off from that. Not only is the universe transparent to us, but it's also rationally beautiful. We've found time and again in fundamental physics that the equations that describe the way the world works are written in terms of what we recognize as beautiful mathematics. There is an aspect of wonder in the organization of the world, which is very striking and very rewarding to the scientist as part of discovery. Now we can ask the question, is that just our luck, or is there a reason for it? And I would say that the universe is rationally transparent and rationally beautiful, in other words, shot through with signs of mind, because in fact there is a divine mind, the Creator's mind, behind the wonderful and beautiful order of the world.
The origin of the laser can be traced to a park bench in Washington, D.C. There, one morning in 1951, a young physics professor who had been working tirelessly in his laboratory to produce stronger microwaves with shorter wavelengths had a revelation. He wasn't sure it would work. It had to be tested. But Charles Towns had in his grasp what would become the key to generating more powerful, intense light waves that could literally be directed with the precision of a beam. With that breakthrough, the modern-day laser was born. The laser, it's everywhere around us. At the checkout stand in grocery stores, in our CD players, in LASIK surgeons' offices, and in laser shows. Today, lasers heal us. They connect us. They have become an indispensable feature of life in the 21st century. Born in 1915, Charles grew up on his family's farm. Even as a boy, he had an insatiable curiosity about how things work, tinkering with everything from slingshots to wagons, making them bigger and better. Charles' passion for unlocking scientific puzzles and his invention of the maser, the foundation for the laser, led to his winning the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1964. In his acceptance speech, he thanked his colleagues and the scientists who had come before him. Scientific discovery, he noted, is the product of many minds working together, with one scientist building on the contributions of another. For those who know him well, this humility and generosity of spirit is a reflection of Charles' strong sense of faith.
Dr. Towns was the discoverer of the laser beam, and he shares with Mother Teresa the distinction of being the only person to win both a Nobel Prize and a Templeton Award for Religion. At the Synod, Dr. Towns spoke about the intimate relationship between science and religion, and I'd like you to listen to what he had to say.
I hope that you all will be looking more and more and thinking more and more about the relation between science and religion. They are closely related, and I think contrary to what some fundamentalist type scientists say, in fact they come together, and in the long run they will converge and hopefully help us understanding more deeply in both fields. I think it's a big mistake when people try to separate science and religion. And I'm very pleased with the UCC, that they're open-minded and they recognize the importance of science and so on. I'm very pleased about that.
除了这些当代的科学家以外，许多现代科学的创始者都相信这宇宙的确是由一位创造者所创造与设计的。比如说，现代的实验物理学家鼻祖伽利略，他是一位非常敬虔的天主教基督徒。 比如说创开普勒行星定律的开普勒，创建了现代的物理天文学。当然也包括了牛顿爵士，他是近代物理的创始者。量子力学普朗克常数当中的普朗克是1918年诺贝尔奖得主，也是现代量子物理的创始者，并且创立海森堡测不准原理的海森堡是1932年的诺贝尔奖得主，也是现代量子力学的创始者。
剑桥大学史蒂芬·霍金教授在他的新著《伟大的设计》中做了一些惊人的宣告，引起轩然大波。在他先前著作中，他曾经说
It would be very difficult to explain why the universe should have begun in just this way, except as the act of a God who intended to create beings like us.
在新书中，他一反常态地说
Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing. Why the universe exists, why we exist. It is not necessary to invoke God, to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going.
牛津大学著名的数学家和物理学家罗杰·本洛斯爵士曾经与霍金教授一起发展出重力的基点定理。罗杰本身并不是一个宗教徒，可是他认为霍金这方面的理论是错的，因为上帝的存在与否根本不需要被牵扯进来。Alistair McGrath 是牛津大学的神学家，也是生化物理博士。接下来是他们两个共同的讨论。
The first thing I want to emphasize is we do have to be careful about the provisionality of this. I mean, in some of the debates, for example, about Hawking's book, you almost get the impression that some people, not Hawking himself, but some people are saying, well, of course, science now knows the answer to this question. It's called M-theory. Actually, it's not really. It's just a staging post along the long road of science. We try to make sense of things at the moment. This looks quite hopeful, but it's clear that further work needs to be done. And the question is, well, will that take us in future? So,
well, I was going to say, I think it's actually stronger than that.
Okay.
That what is referred to as M theory isn't even a theory.
Yes.
It's a collection of ideas, hopes, aspirations.
Exactly.
It's not even a theory. And I think the book is a bit misleading in that respect. It gives you the impression that here is this new theory which is going to explain everything. It's nothing of the sort. It's not even a theory, and it certainly has no observational. Partly it's this 10 to the 500 you refer to.
This is one of the interesting aspects of what he appears to be saying is that M theory shows that the universe can create itself, so to speak, out of nothing. I mean, is that something which science can ever really tell us or be definitive? Take a
certainly
stance
not doing it yet. I think the book suffers rather more strongly than many. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing in popular descriptions of science to latch on to some idea, particularly things to do with string theory, which have absolutely no support from observation. They're just nice ideas that people have tried to explore.
But they will always remain theoretical. I mean,
always is too strong. It may well be they just be refuted, but even that is something which is they're very far from any kind of observational
or testability.
Tests, yes, they're hardly science. Also, the word multiverse means different things. There is this 500, 10 to the 500 different M theories or whatever it is, and these These are different schemes in which you might have constants of nature being different, and not just that, but all sorts of things are different. And the argument is that of all these different possibilities, we live in one where life is possible. In most of them, life is not possible. Now, that's one type of scheme. They all kind of coexist, but we find ourselves
in the one that is habitable for human life.
That's right. And that's what's called the anthropic argument, which has some justification. It's overused, I think. And this is a place where it's overused. It's an excuse for not having a good theory.
In the universe, it was a powerful moment.
As the Apollo 8 crew looked homeward, around the world, millions of people were united by the same impulse, stopping for a few moments to stare skyward at the distant moon.
It was Christmas Eve. I got in the car and I was driving home, and there was the moon. It was just absolutely beautiful. I looked at it and I'm, oh my Lord, they are there. I mean, it was, you know, to look up at the moon and say, my husband is going around that moon at this moment.
Welcome to the moon, Houston.
As the command module moved through its 9th revolution, the largest audience in history tuned in for a special television broadcast.
This is Apollo 8 coming to you live from the moon. We've had to switch the TV camera now. Now we're switching so that we can show you the moon. This area just to the west of the Sea of Crisis is called the Martian Sleep. And to the west of that is the Sea of Tranquility. Can you see the fracture patterns going across the body in front of us now, Houston? They drop down in about 3 steps to the south.
For 20 minutes, the astronauts cataloged the mountains and craters they were passing over. Then, as they approached the moon's dark side, they began to read a passage they had selected from the Bible's book of Genesis, the creation story.
For all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day.
The thing about Apollo that sets it apart from every other event in the history of exploration is that human beings could share in the event as it was happening. We felt the awe and the wonder that these 3 men were experiencing so far from their home planet. Look at the step we were taking. And in that moment, they were touching base with the most fundamental narrative we have, the creation story.
And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good.
I've never seen this place so quiet. There was a big hush in here, and tears in a lot of eyes. It was just the perfect thing to do at the perfect time.
And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth.
Well, quite a finish for this last transmission from the moon, Apollo 8. From their television cameras there, 230,000 miles from Earth, some 70 miles above the surface of the moon.